And let's start with Facebook, right? So we're talking about a media giant, right? Why are we talking about this one? Founded in 2012. No, not founded in 2012. Founded by Mark Zuckerberg in his dormitory room at Harvard, probably 10 years before that, but listed on the New York Stock Exchange in 2012. It's got well over 2 billion active daily users. Remember, what that means is that there are only 7 billion people on the planet, and a good solid chunk of them are on Facebook every day. Remember, it's not just the main Facebook platform, which people access both on a mobile handset as well as on an iPad or on their computer. We're also talking about WhatsApp, which has rapidly become the world's most favored messaging platform, which they bought for $19 billion back in the day. Instagram is theirs as well. That's picture sharing. And one somehow suspects, that they're going to broaden the platform in time to come as well. Facebook Messenger is also a significant user platform. People are using that, kids often, in order to interact with each other, set up events, create mailing lists, etc., etc. Huge amounts of video going through Facebook recently as well. This is the largest of the media stocks we're going to talk about today. Market cap $232 billion. Astonishing, from a recently created new company, far more valuable than many, many companies established for decades or even centuries. Price to earnings ratio, well, that's quite high at 82.7. But I guess that's a reflection of the market's confidence in its earnings ability, certainly not in dividend-paying mode. Gary, what have I left out with regard to the business model, and how do you value this one?
It's interesting to value. I mean, the business, you're looking at it. I mean, it's an advertising-driven revenue model. I mean, all of Facebook's revenue essentially comes from advertising. There's very little in the way of fee-based revenue. So, I mean, really, if you look at Facebook, if you're on Facebook and you're using Facebook, you're not a customer of Facebook. Facebook's customers are obviously its marketers and its advertisers, and that's who they try and target.
People are often very skeptical about the ads on the right-hand side because no one ever clicks on them, but they forget that there's also a lot of promotional events going on, like Nike, for example, is a huge advertiser because they run all of their events, their sponsored events and their brand promotions through a platform like Facebook.
Oh, definitely. And big brands, are where Facebook is targeting, and they've always got to strike a balance. Because remember, Facebook was almost, initially it was like, we don't do any advertising because we want to remain very cool in the eyes of our customer. And they've done it obviously with the listing now, and there's a lot of pressure on getting earnings. They've done a huge drive into, you see these adverts popping up in your news feed suddenly, and they've actually had to pull that back because, they obviously have to protect their resource, which is the number of daily users, and you can't start irritating them, otherwise people won't pay you.
Yep.
So it's...
What about WhatsApp? Because that's got a different model. No ads on the platform at all currently, but they're the $1 per year that people pay. And in many instances, the mobile companies subsidize that so that it's free, like WhatsApp is free on MTN or Cell C or Vodacom or whatever.
Yeah, WhatsApp also, it's obviously a new acquisition from them. And the one thing about WhatsApp that I think is most encouraging for Facebook is that it shows how dynamic they're prepared to be. They're prepared to, when they see something that's taking off. I mean, WhatsApp's got about 600 million users, I think. Right. They're prepared to go out and buy it. They want to maintain a community. And I mean, this last quarter, they obviously launched the voice over IP on WhatsApp, so you can now actually call your friends free calls on WhatsApp, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's huge.
And that is massive. I mean, that's them getting into the space of telco operators, which is wonderful, I think.
As far as the share price chart's concerned, let's have a look at that. You'll see what it does is that it comes onto the market at like $40 back in 2012, goes down. Everybody thinks that they bought stock then, is roundly dismissed as an absolute idiot. But from 2013 onwards, it just starts to lift because it demonstrates its ability to make money off of the mobile platform in particular. Yeah. So now it's kind of hovering at around 80 thereabouts on a high forward PE. I mean, does one back this, jump in and buy them regardless?
I'll give you one stat that makes me want to jump in and buy them immediately and say it's one of the hottest companies we're going to look at. If you look at it, their average revenue per client is $2.50 across the globe.
So that's minuscule.
That's tiny. It's tiny, but they've got a lot of customers, obviously. In the US, it's just under $9.
So the point is, a lot of the revenue is coming from the US, where the market's most developed.
Where it's most developed, and that shows you. I mean, they've obviously got their long-term initiatives with the thing internet.org to try and get new subscribers. But definitely the Europe, Asia, Africa. I mean, these are countries that if they can just get the level of engagement up to where it is at the US, you're talking massive increase in earnings.
Well, look, I mean, I own Facebook personally. I bought them at the time of the listing. I've added to them in my portfolio. Every time I see my wife, who's on Facebook a lot, I'm like, I want to buy more shares of this company because this has become the principal
Yeah.
platform with which she shares news with her friends, as well as her news feed, is in fact now becoming increasingly
But I think
located on
there's
Facebook.
two other points I'll make. Is Facebook? It's not journalists sitting in a room trying to develop content. It's using user-generated content. It's the platform. You owning the method of transfer, which is what I think where you have to be. And the second thing is also the amount they're so cash generative. I mean, their free cash flows are, I think just for Q1 were like $1.2 billion, and they're spending 30% of that in R&D. Now that for me is a company. If you're looking 5 years out, that's a company you want to invest in. Someone that's prepared to spend 30% of their revenue
And
researching
fantastic CEO.
and making new
Okay, we're
better
running
things.
super over time, so we're clearly both hot on this one,
Very
right?
hot,
Like
very hot.
Facebook.